Keith Lee. If you're familiar with TikTok, if you're familiar, honestly, at this point with social media, you've probably heard that name before. He has millions of followers on TikTok and he constantly goes viral. And a lot of people are wondering, how does he do it? How does he constantly grow on TikTok? How did he start? And what are some of the things they can take away from his journey to help them also grow? So here are the timestamps and we're gonna get right into it. First and foremost, so Keith Lee started on TikTok in 2020. And similar to a lot of people, he did not know how to grow on TikTok. And I honestly don't really think he saw the possibility of really monetizing it as much as he did, which just means make money. So first, when he started on TikTok in 2020, he made random videos. He made random trends. He made random psychology facts videos. He would even cash out people if they were able to answer the question correctly. Now, during this time period, he recently had moved back home with his parents, and he was actually sharing a bed with his 14-year-old brother. He was not able to go to college anymore it's a whole different story. He kind of was kicked out of college in a sense. And he just recently lost his job. So he's grown and he's like, what am I going to do? So he said he was very depressed during this time period. And that's when his older brother, who is a UFC fighter, was just kind of like, come train with me. So in his meantime, which is essentially all the time, I guess, he would train as a UFC fighter. He eventually got into the UFC and he started making a little bit of money, probably like $500 a fight. But if you're familiar with that kind of sport, it's not like they fight every single week. So he was not making that much money. He probably had, 5 or 6 fights a year, give or take. I say that to say he finally got his breakthrough, right? He finally got his 6-figure fight deal. And so recently during this time period, he had met his girlfriend, which is now his wife, and they were getting ready to have their baby. Now, he was posting trends and random stuff on TikTok, getting 50 views a video, not really getting too much of a spark. Then he decided to start posting things such as his wife. He started posting things such as the gender reveal and really just showing people his life and him. And that's when he started getting maybe 16,000 views, 20,000 views, and he slowly started to grow. So he saw that was working for him. So he started posting more and more and more about his family, just more and more and more about, them getting ready for the baby and all these other things. And that's when his page started growing. Long story short, he ended up losing this big UFC fight, and it was pretty bad to the point where he lost his entire contract. During this time period, his wife had already had the baby, and now they were expecting another baby. So now he was a married man with 2 kids that he had to support a family, and he did not have really any income. He didn't have any money. Now, he had grown on TikTok. He had around 1 million followers by July of 2021, but he was only making like $400 a month. You have to think, this is in 2021 where people didn't really know how to monetize social media. They didn't really know that you could make that much money on TikTok, and brands weren't really giving that money yet because they didn't really see the potential of TikTok to a certain extent. I say that to say he had 1 million followers and he's constantly posting his family. And so even when he posted his daughter, his page skyrocketed, his first daughter, Carter, because he was showing just him being a family man. He would show him cooking dinner for his family. He would show him just bonding with his daughter and different things like that. And people really started to like him because they start liking him as a family man, seeing his family. Subsequently, he actually ended up in 2021 getting not a deal, but he got an offer from a place called Harold's Chicken in Vegas where he was living. And they were basically like, hey, they saw he had 1 million followers, like, hey, if you want to come out and try the chicken or try the food or whatever case may be. So he did it. And that's kind of how he got into the food critique kind of world. So he did that, and the video did all right. It did pretty well. And so he saw that as a way of just trying to go to more places and kind of critiquing them, because he kind of saw the content doing well to a certain extent. And so he started doing that. But contrary to how most people during that time period, if you heard the word food critic, or you thought of, in my opinion, food critics or people trying out restaurants and stuff on TikTok during that time period, I felt like it was either those lavish restaurants where the meal was $500 and it was this big, or you thought of people trying those crazy things like a giant donut or a 64-ounce steak. Like, it was the crazy things that most people probably will only get like on vacation. It wasn't day-to-day stuff. And so he started to just rate day-to-day places, from Chipotle to Harold's Chicken to small businesses. And so he kind of started acclimating that content into his regular content, which is his family content, and he saw that content doing good. Subsequently, actually really fast after, maybe within a few weeks or a few months, minute amount of months. He actually got a 6-figure brand deal from Wingstop because they saw his food videos were doing pretty good, and then eventually he started incorporating more and more food content. I say that to say that 6-figure deal from Wingstop replaced the 6-figure deal that he lost from the UFC. So during this time period, he started making more and more money from it, and he just started telling his wife, hey, like, look at these videos where I'm posting food. They're getting 11 million views. They're getting all these views and all these different things. And so that's kind of when he got to be known for the Keith Lee that we know him now. He doesn't really like to consider himself to be a food critic, but that's just how most people think of him. Now, when it gets into his answer as far as like how he grew on social media and different things like that. So I saw an interview with him. I've seen some interviews. And one of the things that he says is there a business answer and there his real answer. His business answer is to post consistently. Sorry, y'all. Post consistently. And that's how he feel like he grew, because during the time period when he first started, he would post like 3 to 4 videos a day. Then he scaled back to 2 videos a day. And now he scaled back to 1. And then he said when they asked him what is his real answer, his version of it, he said he doesn't know. He says he honestly does not know how he grew on social media and exactly how it happened. Now that's essentially, in a nutshell, his story. Now here's some of the things you can take away from his story to help you grow on social media. First and foremost, like I mentioned earlier, posting consistently. I feel like people don't understand the power of consistency, the power of compounding and getting your face out there. For the simple fact is, you really want to build awareness, right? Most times if you think about the people you follow on social media, you may not follow them the first video you see them. You may not follow the second video, but then if you see them for 3, 4 videos they're posting and you like their content, you're probably more likely to follow them. So you want to build up consistency to be seen in the eyes of individuals who potentially want your kind of content. And then also, I've talked about it before, when you want to do something different, when you want to grow in a space, in a place, you have to be willing to do what others aren't doing sometimes. And a lot of people aren't posting consistently, y'all. I don't know what's going on with me. They're not posting consistently. And so not only are you kind of getting ahead of some of the competition, but in the sense of you're getting your face seen by individuals who like your content, but then also you're building up that work ethic to post consistently, right? And in a sense of brands can see you, you know, other individuals can see you, and it's just in a sense of building that up so that first and foremost it becomes a norm to you when you do want to do this full time and different things like that, but then also building up that portfolio of having good content. Sometimes people focus so much on numbers and views. You can have one video that blows up, right? But you are waiting for everything to be perfect, and so that one video, you know, you only got 2 other videos. So when people do go to your page, you're kind of like, do I really want to follow this person? They don't really have that much content on here. But if you have all these videos, some did all right, some did, you know what I'm saying? But then one of them shot up, people are more likely to binge watch all of those videos if they really like you. So posting consistently can help you in a multitude of ways. Another thing I love about his story is, do not try to feel like you have to reinvent the wheel, right? I don't know if you guys ever heard that. And they kind of say it in the business world, like you don't have to create something completely new. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's just about finding your own place or finding your own just way about doing things. I say that to say, like I said before, we've heard of food critics. Think of the movie Ratatouille. The big part of the movie was about a food critic. I say that to say he did his own variation on it. He did more affordable restaurants that are known around that anybody kind of could go to. He also gives a whole aspect review. If you ever saw his reviews before, he rates the food 1 out of 10, yes, but also he tells us about the customer service of the place. And if you're familiar with that, sometimes that's one of the biggest things or components about the video is like people are like, yeah, the food is good there, but the customer service is bad, right? So I say that to say he does his own spin on it. And then everybody knows I got it, let's rate it 1 out of 10. He puts his own spin on it. It does not mean there are not other individuals critiquing food. It does not mean there are not other individuals going to places. But it's just not feeling like, oh, you have to reinvent something new or you can't make content about this thing because it's overly saturated. Can we please get out of the thing of things being overly saturated? Too many people doing them. Because if you do it your own way, nobody can copy you. Like nobody can say things the way Keith Lee say things and people don't think of Keith Lee. Figure out how to create content like that, right? And so when it comes into, you know, okay, so what am I making content about? I think that's one of the biggest things that gets people. And one thing I learned from his journey is just like, First and foremost, start. You have to start doing something. Contrary to when he first started and he was making family content, now he makes food content, right? And his page is heavily based on food. When people think about him, they really think of food, even though he had already gotten to 1 million followers before he even really started focusing on food content. I say that to say, when you are making content that you genuinely enjoy, that you genuinely would consume, and you're connecting to your audience on an authentic level, they're gonna follow you anywhere. Which is why a lot of people grew doing certain things that they don't necessarily have to do anymore. Think about the Alex Earls, right? Or not the Alex Earl. She grew from doing the Get Ready With Me videos. It does not mean she doesn't do any Get Ready With Me videos, but a lot of her content is now her going to fashion shows and different things like that. Because why? Her audience likes her so much that they're willing to watch anything that she does because they feel like they're friends with her. They feel connected with her. Similar to Keith Lee. I'm pretty sure a lot of the people who were engaging with his content in the beginning were probably people who already knew him. Probably people who already follow him. Somebody that's already knowing you, connected to you, is more likely to just type on a video and watch it for the simple fact that it's you than another video. And I say that to say it's really about building up that relationship with your audience and not focusing so much on being perfect. I always tell individuals the one thing that holds you back is your idea that there's a thing of perfection. Perfection is the idea that there's nothing to add and or nothing to take away. I personally feel like if you're trying to be a creative, you're trying to be a content creator, you have to acknowledge the fact that it's never going to be perfect. You're going to have to acknowledge the fact that you're always going to have to grow. And the idea that you're holding yourself back and you're not starting until you're perfect is really you're just halting yourself from starting. It's really just you're trying to stall things out. You don't feel like you're ready. You don't feel like you have enough. But then go to your saves. You saved so many videos telling you how to become a content creator. You've watched so many videos. You told yourself, well, I'm starting in 2024. Well, I'm starting in da-da-da. Start now. Because I say that to say, it does not mean what you're doing now you're going to be doing for the rest of your life. But also think of it in that way, right? Because it's something you can build upon. First, he started with family content. He started with something that he already did and people connected to that. So then when he got into the food content, it still was a part of him. People still saw him authentically in there because they had saw his previous content. I say that to say when you're first starting out, have the mindset of like, this is content that I will make for a certain amount of time, right? Whether it's 5 years, it's 2 years, 3 years. Do not start making content just because you think people want that kind of content. Like, don't get me wrong, you want to create content that individuals like, but I can tell you from personal experience, if you focus solely on creating content that people like and you're not worried about yourself, you're not getting people to connect to you, people will easily forget about you. I don't know where you guys found me from, possibly from TikTok, possibly on YouTube. If you're not familiar with me, I have one account on TikTok that has 100,000 followers, right? Or 100 or something thousand followers. And my engagement is horrible right now. So much so I haven't even posted in a while. One reason why it's horrible is because I started posting content when I first started that people wanted to see. I started posting tips and tricks on how to grow on social media, right? I never showed people me. I never showed my personality. I felt like it was very cookie cut. It wasn't that I was copying other people, but it was in a sense of the way I was talking, the way I just felt like what I was giving off, which is very cookie cut because I wanted to make content that people liked. I wanted to make content that I felt like people would enjoy. I say that to say over the time period, I had changed my name on TikTok, which is not a good thing. I tell people you should try to have all the same names across all platforms just so people could recognize you. And then also it was a thing of, long story short, my video going viral in another country, which was a whole nother thing. But the issue is with all the problems that happened, it was a few more things that happened. It's social media, but it was easy for people to forget about me. Why? Because they only knew me for giving tips and tricks on how to grow on social media. They never connected to me. So all they had to do was replace me with somebody that gave them tips and tricks on how to grow on social media. And then I waited till I got to 100,000 followers and I'm like, well, you guys, hi, my name is Shamaya. And and people are kind of like, girl, what the hell are these tips and tricks on how to grow on social media? We do not care about you. And I couldn't say anything. Why? Because I built a whole foundation never talking about me, never doing anything that I felt like connected to me because I felt like I was just giving people what they wanted. That's why I tell people it's very important to create content around the things that you like, you want to consume, and build a genuine connection with your audience. The people that post nothing but trends on TikTok, they don't post any talking videos, anything like that. Yeah, they may have 500,000 followers on TikTok, but I promise you, it's hard for them to grow on Instagram. It's hard for them to grow on YouTube. Why? Because people don't have a connection to them. You have to ask yourself, do you want to be a YouTuber? Do you want to be a TikToker? Do you want to be an Instagrammer? Or do you want to be a content creator? The difference between them is that a content creator can go across multiple platforms and get people to follow them, get people to look for them. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the app Lemon8. It's kind of like a sister app to TikTok. And I'll never forget when it first started. I think it was like April of 2023. I was on there, you know, it wasn't that many people on there. People were just coming. Most people, I didn't see nobody with more than what, 200-300 followers. It was very new. I got on there maybe like the second week it was out. Monet McMichael, I'll never forget, she joined there. She literally had like 1,000 followers in like a day. And I know some of you guys are like, 1,000 followers is not a lot. Trust me, the app was very, very, very new. She might have had like 2,000-3,000. I say to say she had in the thousands. Nobody had in the thousands. And people were literally in the comments like, oh my gosh, I was waiting for you to come. Oh my gosh, I'm so happy you're here. That's what you want. You don't want to be trapped on one app because you can only make money on one app. If something happens to that platform, you're not going to be able to make any money. People are not going to remember you, and you're just going to be a TikToker. You're just going to be a this. You're just going to be a that. If you want to be a content creator and to be able to transcend across multiple platforms, you're going to have to create content that connects with people. I say that to say, some people are like, well, how do I do that? You have to focus on you. And I know this may sound very generic and it may sound very like, but you do. You have to figure out what are key aspects of you that you want to hit on. What are things about yourself that you want to personify? The issue is most people don't know about themselves, right? Most people spend 8, sometimes 10 hours a day, 5 days a week working, and then you have 2 days out of the week where you have to fit in your friends or family if you're in a relationship. Then you have to fit in birthdays, holidays. Then you have to fit in cleaning the house and eating and trying to go to the gym. It's so much you have to fit in that most people don't get, that they're just on autopilot. You don't really know, like, especially when we become adults, a lot of people don't have hobbies. Like, what do you do for yourself? What do you do for fun? Right? What do you enjoy? And I say that to say a tip I would give people is to start journaling. Journaling is I feel like it's so great because it shows you about yourself, right? You're able to pinpoint your highs and your lows. And one thing I tell people to do is, I'm not sure if it's a real word, but mindlessly journaling, right? Do not test it out as like a hypothesis or something like that, an experiment. For a week or two, mindlessly journal. So don't really think about, oh, I'm journaling to see what happens, or I'm journaling good things, journaling bad things. Just journal, just write for like 5, 10, whatever minutes, right? I say that to say at the end of every week, look at your journal. Pinpoint obviously the longer you do it, the better the experiment. Pinpoint the highs of your day. Pinpoint the lows of your day. Pinpoint the things that you noticed were missing when you had a bad day. Things that are missing when you had a good day. We're creatures of habits. Pay attention to your habits. A lot of times the things that can help us blow up, even if you think of business owners, the best business owners start products out of a need or for themselves, right? Not sure if you guys watch the show Shark Tank. I love it. But a lot of them on there that have the best businesses, they are like, oh yeah, I had this problem, so I created this for that, right? The most people who just create products just because they think it'll work for people, their products most of the time don't do as well because they don't really understand the aspect of it, how to connect to an audience. Start paying attention to you, and that's how you figure out your niche. I know some people are hearing the word and they're cringing, like, oh, why do I need a niche? Me personally, when I think of a niche, I think of a description, right? You say you want to work with brands. You say you want to make money. Brands want to figure out, a brand can see you have 700,000 followers, but if it doesn't fit for their brand, if your content doesn't fit, or they don't know how you can promote their content, they don't want to work with you. They rather work with somebody who has 100,000 followers. I say that to say you need to figure out, what is your content going to be about? It could be about lifestyle. It could be about cooking, whatever. It could be about you. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing wrong with that. But figure out what you want to be known for, your niche. Once you figure out your niche, figure out your content pillars. I recommend not to start out with more than 3 to 4 content pillars. It's how you express your content, right? What supports the niche, the pillars. I say that to say, for example, on my page, I was giving tips and tricks on how to grow on social media. My content pillars were trends. I will post trending sounds. Another content pillar was tutorials. So I may show you guys how to do an Instagram edit, or how to, you know, how content creators edit something. Another one was kind of just like facts that were going on in the content creator world, the content creator economy. Figure out the content that you want to do, that you want to be known for, because that helps you become more consistent, and that helps individuals kind of know what to expect from you. I think of it similar to a TV show, right? A reality show. Think about, you know, the Real Housewives or something like that. They have Real Housewives of Orange County. They have the Real Housewives of Potomac, Beverly Hills, all these other things. There's some people that are genuinely like, I like the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but I don't like the Real Housewives of Miami or something like that. They're still the Real Housewives. They still essentially show the same similar stuff, but there's a reason why people pinpoint this over that. Think about that when it comes to your content. So you may have a similar niche to individuals, but figure out how you want to express your niche and express yourself. And of course, build up a sense of consistency. But those are just some of the tips that I would give individuals that I feel like definitely help, right? For example, Keith, his content, his niche was essentially lifestyle, right? Family man. Literally, it was family, right? And then what were his content pillars? Showing his daughter, showing his wife, showing him his career in the UFC. And then he implemented the cooking thing, which you can do. You can change things out, but try to be, he was consistent in those things first growing, and then he was able to bring something in new. Don't keep trying to change everything every single week. Try things consistently. Obviously, pay attention to your metrics, see what works and see what doesn't work. But a big reason why people can't grow is because they're like, oh, this doesn't work for me, or that doesn't work for me. You weren't even consistent with that thing. So how do you know if it works or it doesn't? You don't, all right? So those are some of the tips that I would give as far as building up consistency. Figure out authenticity for yourself. Figure out your key points, your niche, your content pillars, and then figure out what platforms do you want to grow on. I recommend to have a primary platform, which is your main one, and then also a secondary one. If you have time to have a third, that's great, but really a primary and a secondary one to just help you grow and not just be a YouTuber, TikToker, or Instagrammer, be an all-around content creator. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning into my video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and have a great one. And also comment below what kind of platforms y'all are growing on in 2024, and what are some of the things that you feel like is holding you back from taking content creation seriously and actually starting, Mr. and Miss, I'm gonna become a content creator.